Hello everybody! It's time for a 4v4 tier list because I'm bored and I here to mix it up. Kind of give a new sight on MXM style tier lists here. Kind of, usually just care about 5v5, but today we're going to focus on something a little different. I'm actually a big fan of 4v4. It's pretty fun for me. I know some people enjoy it too. Kind of has the least amount of play of any mode back in 2017. We've played it a lot more now in 2025 in the MXM Reborn beta. So some of the stuff still holds pretty true from what we thought in 2017, and some of it is, just kind of like felt out by playing matches now in 2025. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and start, putting people here on our tier list. So we're gonna start out with Merope. Merope is still pretty good in 4v4. Really good poke, really good options, defensive and offensive. Pretty much gonna land the same place she landed in Titan Ruins. Very versatile character with very high burst. So, gonna see her up here. Once again, we're not gonna do anything with Vector Strike. We're just gonna use the other three skills in some combination, and I think she'll fit in just fine. Now Maya, probably a little bit better in Titan Ruins, because there's no real way to sustain your characters too much in this mode. So we're gonna put her in A tier. She can use combat protocol and her wall to zone while people are capturing points. You can move people around a bit. It's pretty reliable. Maya to just kind of survive. Survivability's good. She has a passive that heals herself in this mode. Just being able to stay out longer is pretty useful in this mode. She can deal damage in combat protocol, and you can maybe use her wall as sort of savior in this mode. I think that'll place her a bit higher than before. And turn down the music a little bit just in case. And we'll go with that. Hopefully it's not too quiet. Anyways, so we're gonna move on to the next character. Let's see here. MBA. This mode's very good for poking, and MBA is quite good at it. He can shoot over and on the capture points. Just keep people off of them. You have to go chase them down and make them stop. It's quite good at it. It does a bunch of damage. You know the drill with MBA already. Don't use his ult that often, or only in the right conditions and from the max range, and you'll be golden with MBA. Based on what I said in the last video, still kind of applies to 4v4. There's no creeps in this mode, so it doesn't really apply any of that information. So yeah, good solid poker who can keep people off capture points and deal good damage. He's kind of squishy though, so keep that in mind, that you can get taken out. So probably bring somebody with more stickiness to the map with him, and you'll be alright. Now next we have Suzuka. Once again, pretty good. Very good with cloak. Can harass endlessly to keep people off capture points with things like caltrops, which is quite useful because it also does good poke damage. So you can poke and be slippery and go around making sure people don't take your capture points or capturing the points yourself. Quite good for that. Good burst damage with the ultimate. Good iframes. Just gotta be careful about getting picked off. And if you play sneakily enough, you probably won't. So pretty good pick here. Tulam. We got Tulam. Kind of the same thing as Titan Ruins. Pretty good in team fights. There's a team size is smaller though in this mode. He can still CC chain people, but he doesn't really have sticking power too much. So you're probably going to get forced off of points more often than not. He is kind of a melee character, and his health pool isn't that big for kind of an engager character. So he's kind of not as useful in this mode as from a lot of what we played. So I definitely am going to put him down here in B. I think he's still viable, but probably not that interesting. Now Sonid, completely different than Titan Ruins. His poke, damage, and ability to move around the battlefield is quite good. Very strong character in this mode. Not broken or anything, but he definitely can basically pick a point in the map, usually towards the middle, and try to protect the surrounding capture points from the center. Pretty good character to have in the center, good range, especially with Firecracker. You can poke, make people chase you down to try to eliminate you so you can't just protect the capture points all that much. Very good to have. Next is Vimerang. Vimerang kind of follows under the same category, still very good, like she is in Titan Ruins. Basically has no concept of cooldowns, so you can keep throwing out ring blades. Very useful in that regards. So you got that going for you. It's all quite good. So it's all quite good. Now give me just a second. I'm going to turn the music down a little bit. I think it might be causing a bit of a problem. Okay, back to the list. So we got Vimerang, like I said. Just don't take Scatter Blade, and I think you'll be okay. Definitely can throw out rings for, reflect against the right matchups. Plenty of ranged characters are still good here, so Ring Blade Barrier is still going to be good, and you can still throw out the Spin Blade that goes around and comes back to you quite often in this mode, and it keeps people off and does decent damage. Quite useful. Anyone with a persistent skill like Ring Blade Barrier is going to be pretty good in this mode as well. Keep that in mind when playing this mode. Next we have Pankuga. Pankuga is still a pretty good duelist. You'll still find plenty of room to duel in this mode, but he's not exactly great at poke, so we're going to put him in A. Poke is quite viable, strong in this mode, I should say. But he can remove people that are poking, so that is good. You want him to pretty much duel people, take them out, so that you can have control of the map. Pretty useful still to have this kind of character. But if you need to stop somebody in a pinch, he just doesn't have the reach, even with his ultimate. It's got to charge a bit. So melee characters might not be as favorable in this mode from what we've generally figured out. So I'm going to have to play him down there. Now, Cat the Cat is a melee character, but their ultimate lets them jump in at a moment's notice very fast, and that's quite useful in this mode. Cat's CC is still really easy. Since team fighting is a little less important in this mode, and there's usually a lot of separate brawls going on or 2v2s going on the map. Not as S tier as in Titan Ruins, but still a very easy button mash character that can get a lot of value doing that. So Cat the Cat will, and poke. There's also ranged poke stances that Cat the Cat can use, and that's quite useful. So we're gonna put Cat the Cat in AA. That's a down a space from Titan Ruins, so we're gonna put Cat the Cat in AA this time. Demonos was in A, but now he's in AA. Demonos' poke is very, very, very good in this mode and offers something very useful in this mode since there's no health pickups on this map, or either version of Hardpoint capture. Demonos can still heal over time his allies while hitting enemies, which is very useful, and keep them off your capture points. Bunch of different CCs and zoning tools. So Demonos is going to stay up here. Very useful character in this mode. Death Knight. Death Knight's going up from B to AA. He was a B in Titan Ruins, but I'd say he's pretty solid in this mode. He has health sustain in this mode, which is very nice to have. Death Knight, he's good against skill damage characters that have skills that you want to negate damage of with his right click in this mode. And since the arenas are a lot tighter here, it's harder to walk away from him, which means he can keep dishing out his weapon damage, which means he's going to keep healing. And since he's decently tanky, he can pretty much keep people at bay or on the points that you're trying to protect, and you can just keep them from capturing it, even if they're in the area, for as long as you can. That's very useful in this mode. You can take Skull Crash, Skull Crack. They're all good moves here. I still think Hellfire is probably not what you want to be doing. If it had more range, I might actually say, wow, Hellfire might be decent just because it can poke in this mode, but it still doesn't have a lot of range, so you still probably don't want to take Hellfire. Quickening is probably not as useful as Skull Crash in this mode either, so I think you should still be sticking to Skull Crash, Skull Crack. But he's going to perform a lot better than I think he does in 5v5 here, just because distracting people and holding them off is more valuable in this mode. So I think he'll be quite the good fit. I've played him plenty of times in this mode, and I don't feel any kind of negative way about him most of the time. So I think he can move up from his B tier in Titan Ruins here. Now, Coom. Coom, I feel like is a little bit more useful for most people here. This tier list is still kind of assuming it's a general average player, but tanky characters are good here because you can hold on points a little bit longer. Coom has a wide variety of skills that can help him do that, his ultimate included, so you can just kind of help your teammates station up on a point and hold it, lock it down, and just be hard to remove, and that's useful in this mode. Generally, just kind of be careful because Coom doesn't do a lot of damage, so don't try to brawl too much unless you got a teammate. But yeah, Coom, pretty useful here. Shockingly enough, we're actually going to see Cagnazzo in the same tier as Coom, just because they're both melee. Cagnazzo can kind of go up because his ultimate's really good and gives him some more staying power, but you might consider Riftline in this mode if you're not on ping, just because it's kind of quick enough to grab somebody capturing your point. But most of the time you just want his leap and his slam still, maybe even the fear for stall. But he is melee, and yes, his ultimate extends the range of his attack, which is quite useful in this mode, but he's just not the engager slash tanker slash, you know, that he is in 5v5 here, just because range is so much more valuable here, I feel. He could maybe go up, but I'm just going to say to be safe, because he's more of a close range only character in this mode, we're going to leave him in A despite his strengths. I would say maybe put him up just because compared to Pankuga, he takes less skill to play. But yeah, we're just going to leave Cagnazzo in A, and that's just gonna how it's going to be. Vonak, there's no PvE in this mode. We're just going to put him in A. He still has poke tools, like Whip Shot can give him good poke, but it's not in terribly high damage. But he can curve around the capture points and kind of like hit you for damage with that skill and unload if he wants. Slam Shot might be the better pick here than unload though, for protecting the points and protecting yourself. So it's going to be more of a poker character here. This is going to be less of a burst mage kind of playstyle, I think would be better suited to this mode. Because again, there's no monsters, so you're not going to really want to just unload and shoot, you know, a stationary target. So he's going to drop down a bit. But he's still ranged, even if his ranged attacks on like his other forms aren't that long. But yeah, I think with Whip Shot and Slam, you probably have more poke and range, so it might be better. Next, Ignuma. I'm actually going to move Ignuma up quite a bit from his previous placement. Just because survivability and being able to hold a point for a long time and be annoying is useful. So he's going to go from C to A. He might even go from C to B, but that's for general average players. So general play, just kind of like, you're still not really coordinated team kind of picks. But yeah, his skills have a lot of variety once you learn them, and you can probably use them to hold down points for long periods of time. Which is quite useful in this mode because that's how you win. So I think I'm going to put Ignuma up here with Coom, and just because he has a lot of staying power, his ultimate heals him, which, like I said, is really good in this mode, because being able to heal up and sustain yourself is quite useful, because you can stay on the board longer, and that's what matters in this mode. So we're going to put him up there. It might come as a shocker, but that's how I feel about him. Zero, still not playable in MXM Reborn for some reason. He was in 2017. Still not playable now. They said there's some kind of minor issue with him. Curious as to what that is, but I'd say he's still pretty good. He's ranged, he's a poker, he has CC status effects that are quite useful, and basically being able to go around the map poking people and trying to stay at max range and just stunning and doing various things is quite useful. So we're going to leave him an A. Yoharon, still not implemented, so just like the last one, I'll just leave that at that. Ghost Widow, still very good. Poke, you know, point and click pokes that last long periods of times with dots. Good 1v1 ultimate, which is useful in this map. Mode. Because there's two maps, but overall they play very similarly. But yeah, so Ghost Widow still annoying, and sometimes being annoying is all you have to be good at in this map to be useful. Now Erna, I'm not gonna put her as high as I think I did last time. We're just gonna put her at A. Actually, I think maybe I did put her in A last time, and she can still stay in A this time. She's really squishy, so that's kind of a problem. Just like I mentioned before, it might even be more of a problem now in this mode because the spaces are tighter and you do have to fight over stuff constantly. But she does have good range poke. You can take her longer range moves and just keep people up from capturing stuff. Try to keep moving away from the enemies so they can't get to you. And just poking might be the way to play her here. Might want to put her with a character with more sustain and more tankiness as your tag partner option. But I think you probably will get a good amount of done with Erna here. So there's no creeps to farm or anything like that. So her being able to just blast a wave of minions might not be that useful, obviously. Like I compared her in Titan Ruins, but she can still blast people and poke them. So I think we're going to put her up here. Now, next on the list we have Jinsuyan. For a melee character, her skills have a lot of reach, so she can get in or get out or whatever she wishes to do, CC multiple people and just be generally annoying. Has a good survival skill, which means you can kind of reflect pokers or just kind of just sustain yourself with good timings. So we're going to leave Jinsuyan pretty much where she was in the Titan Runes tier list. Right there at AA. Chromede, more valuable in this mode than she is in 5v5 just because of her poke potential. Range characters are quite good, so I'm moving her from A to AA in 4v4. Her Aether Pikes are still really good here. She can, and even though she can't clear like minion waves here, which, you know, might make her sound like she's not as good as she is in Titan Ruins, she still has plenty of poke options. Good ultimate, you know, generally useful range kit in a mode where holding a point and keeping them from channeling is a useful thing. Now Lua, still S tier, even outside of Titan Ruins, just has a lot of reach, a lot of range, a lot of burst, free ultimate, you know, nothing to hate here, all useful, all good, many uses, like all her abilities can probably be used in this mode, so I think she's gonna hold on to her S tier slot pretty safely. Lilu, one of the queens of 4v4 and 5v5. You can still take her pretty much same loadout as 5v5. Fly around the map, putting down Talon Swarms, keeping people from doing any channeling for a long period of time. Lilu is quite incredible in this mode. It's one of the characters why I convinced the MXM Reborn devs to make custom game an option for this mode and for pick and ban. Because a lot of these S tier characters you might not want to be playing against in Hardpoint capture. So it's nice to just be able to opt out of playing against certain characters and forming a strategy around other ones. So we kind of like know that Lilu's kind of crazy in this mode. Yeah, pretty much any of her skills will probably be useful here, especially Talon Swarm. So Lilu, S tier. Vita, kind of the same thing. She has poke, she has damage, she has healing, sustain. all very good in this mode, and it's Vita, so I really don't think we can drop her any lower. It's still the 1.4, or sorry, the patch 1.4 balances for characters, so she's still quite good, even though she's been nerfed a couple times up until this point. Still one of the best characters. Again, we just talked about trying to get her ult cooldown doubled, because it's kind of still extremely ridiculous the way it is now. But yeah, Vita's pretty S tier, not much more to say. Now Moro, he goes a lot up in this mode. In 4v4, we put him in B previously, now we're putting him in AA in 4v4. That's because Moro's robos, they just kind of stay in a spot, right? But that's really good in this mode because you can just hold a spot forever and just make the enemy come to you, which is what Moro suffers at, is going to the enemy and doing stuff. Well, when the enemy has to come to you, Moro's a lot better. So he can just station up wherever he wants and just force people to try to remove him, and you can defend a capture point for a long time, and that's very useful. And so Moro is going to be in AA. Now Mondo Zax. Mondo Zax can be built in many useful ways here. He's moving up all the way from B to AA in this mode. He can stealth multiple people, which is really good for surprising people to capture points. It's very good to surprise people for defending points. He can bring the shield, which is sustain, which is very useful in this mode. And he has poke with his barrage bot if he wants that. Just blast people, but poke them at range. And Bruiser Bot, probably not that good, but it's probably better than it is in 5v5 here. Bruiser Bot probably still isn't going to get picked, but outside of that, I think he's a lot better here than he is in other modes. And so I'll put Mondo up there. Nedian, I'm actually putting in AA this time, up from A for 4v4. Nedian basically has sustain with a heal, a self-heal. Has a lot of good poison, a lot of good poke, a lot of good tankiness that can help them just hold on to a point longer. And that's quite useful, and you can harass people at their point and engage. So Nedian, very useful. We're going to put Nedian up here. This list is going to be pretty top heavy because there's a lot of useful characters in this mode that where they may not be as good in Titan Ruins, they definitely shine in 4v4. Lorraine, pretty much staying in the same place she does in Titan Ruins. She's a bit mana hungry, so you can run out of mana fast. But that's not so bad because she still has really good range with her basic attack and it goes through structures. So you can keep people off of channeling the terminals to get points. And so they can't get points and you just annoy them and hold on to things. So Lorraine's very good in that aspect. And she can move really fast. So if you need to get to certain points on the map, you have loadout options for that. So she can just harass and move around and make sure people can't capture points, which this mode is all about. Now Poharon, she's moving up from A to AA. She has a very, very, very long range basic attack. You can even take the range augment if you feel. And that'll be really good in this mode because you can keep people from channeling the points, which is good, and she does good damage. Very versatile character. She has mobility with certain skills. So you can just move around the map and keep people from capturing anything with the Poharon. So quite good. So she's going to move up from A to AA in 4v4. Titus, he's going to move up from F to D. And the only reason he does is because sustain is useful on this map. And even though his healing and other skills are kind of sad, it's just better than it is in Titan Ruins in this mode. So we're just going to leave him down here. His ult is basically a complete waste of resources most of the time, especially in this mode when there's less people you can hit with it in a team fight. Which you might think might bring him down, but his skills can heal, and that's useful in this mode. And they can poke, surprisingly. His kit still overall is very underwhelming, even though it sounds good on paper. But yeah, he's definitely a D tier character, and we're gonna leave him down there. R&B, he is a good poker, which you'd think might put him higher. But he does consume mana very fast with his best poking build. So since sustain is very useful on this map, running out of resources is not really that useful. Kind of why Vonak also drops lower is because to poke he has to switch stances a lot to get the best use and damage out of his stuff, so he's going to run out of mana faster. Same kind of goes for R&B and compared to like NBA. So plus his ult isn't as useful here, especially when you're in the thick of it most of the time. So I don't know how, like, he's still a really good character, but I don't think he's like up here, even though he's comparative to NBA, because of just the way his kit is. Yeah, his ultimate does give him mana back, so it's like maybe, but again, you have to make yourself defenseless in a mode with the map smaller, so people are more likely to get to you, especially in some of the smaller choke points on the 4v4 maps. So I just don't know, you know, comparatively how useful he is. I don't see him get picked a lot here, so I could be crazy, but I think A is probably a fine spot for him. Still useful. Everyone in A, I think, has quite a lot of use here. So it's not like I've, you know, decided he's bad or anything. B isn't even for bad. It's just for like there's better options, right? So yeah. Jingtai, he's still really good. He can poke. His ultimate's useful. He can dance around the battlefield and be evasive. He's tanky. All qualities you want in this mode, and he can CC and push people off of points. So yeah, he's pretty good here. He's not a character that requires a lot of explanation. So yeah, I think he will just kind of stay in AA where he was in 5v5. So here he is in 4v4, same spot. Ritlock, from 5v5, I think he's a little less useful in hardpoint capture, just because his regular attack without his ultimate is melee, which is not as useful in this mode. And even Jingtai's has a little longer reach for a melee character, but Jingtai has a lot more ability to move in and move out than Ritlock. Ritlock just has like Savage Leap in his ultimate. And maybe, I guess, if you take Headshot, you can consider him like still up here for poke and usefulness, but it doesn't really do any damage, even though the silence can be quite useful. It does okay little poke damage, but yeah, I don't know. I think maybe A, maybe AA, maybe S. I think he's more solidified in S and 5v5 than he is in 4v4, but his ultimate's still one charge and gives him range, so it is decent damage. You don't have traits like you do in Titan Ruins here. I wish we did have traits in 4v4, but you still can't pick traits in 4v4 right now, like you can in 5v5, so I think that does hurt some characters, and makes others more useful in these modes like 4v4 and 3v3. So I'm just going to put Ritlock in AA. He's still tanky, he's still annoying, can poke, deal damage, CC, useful character. Dr. Raoul, I moved up. Dr. Raoul can be very annoying, and with his stealth mechanic, going in and out of stealth, and poking, and Ripper beaming from a safe distance on certain people on this mode, which is quite useful, because you just want to keep them from capturing the points, so you don't even have to hard commit. So his lesser health pool won't be too much of an issue in this mode. So if that's something you're worried about, you won't be as worried now. So yeah, his 4v4 potential is a bit higher than his 5v5 potential. The only thing is you're probably not going to take Ripper Beam here because you don't need to clear minion waves. And I think that actually helps his kit because you don't have to be a stationary. He could take mines perhaps, or his teleport behind, or his blind and just be a pest. He's still pest in 5v5, but he can be a pest in this mode too to stop people from capturing things. So I'm going to put him on AA. Now, Nanorenarch, just probably not as useful. He is range character, so he does have poke to keep people from capturing stuff. His ultimate is still burst damage. But you will probably be dying more in this mode, so stacking up buffs might not be as useful. So he's going to drop down some. He may even need to be in C. I just don't... The matches are also shorter, so buffing up takes time. which means you're not really contributing to as much damage as you could be, and he isn't really known for being a super big damager either. But his shield and stuff can be useful, and his bundles still have uses. So I don't think he's really worse than he is in 5v5, but I will say that he's probably about the same, if not maybe a little worse than he is in 5v5. But I'm going to leave him in B tier. I'm sure that you could probably find a use for him to keep him from feeling C for average. Just kind of like, I don't know. You can be doing better. So Nanu, I'm just going to leave him down here. Fun character, but in 4v4, outside of his, basic attack range and his ultimate, I don't think he's offering too much here in 4v4. So we're going to put him down there. GX09, still not available. Now, Bumaro might be one of the best 4v4 characters. Just like in Titan Ruins, when he can stall people on altars, he does pretty much the same thing. In this mode, he basically stalls anybody from capturing anything. His high base move speed keeps him getting around the map, capturing points. Those are all useful traits to have in 4v4. And he's hard to kill, so he can just do this the whole match and maybe die very little times unless he's on another master. But he can pick like a tanky one from down here or something. And then you just have this tanky, hard to remove annoying guy keeping all the points locked down. So, or at least one locked down very, very well. So yeah, Bumaro, a lot better in the average player's hands in this mode, and I think that's going to bump him up from B to S in 4v4. Now Inouen, kind of like Sonid here, extremely long range poke is very useful in this mode, damage is very good in this mode, CC is really good in this mode when it's on a ranged ability, and so Sonid and Inouen can both camp out in the middle of the map and basically just try to poke everybody trying to capture the ones at the edges. And that's why they're really high up here. They both have a certain amount of maneuverability and things their kit enables in this mode that's very useful. And both can kind of hold their own in a duel depending on what skills you take, which is good because you need to be able to poke and survive and just move around the map and keep doing that. So especially when these two can do it from the center of the map, it's very useful in that regard. So snipers like Inouen and Sonid are going to really shine in this mode. You can even take Energy Lance in this mode because you can shoot through the terminal, so if someone's on the opposite side just hiding from you, you can just shoot them. Other moves for these characters, this is more usefulness for their moves here than you might find in Titan Ruins, because you don't have to worry about clearing creeps and stuff. So keep that in mind when you're picking these characters. You can be flexible, and flexibility is always nice to have in MXM. Now Statesman, he's going to move from B to A in 4v4. That's because Statesman has self-sustain skill, where he can heal himself and his teammates, and that's very useful in 4v4, because there's no health packs on the map. It might cause him to have mana issues, but you can swap off a Statesman in the right situation. So excuse me, hiccups. Have a sip of soda real quick. But yeah, so Statesman, good in this mode. I'd say better than he is in 5v5, just because of the way that you want to be able to engage to get people off of stuff. You have to protect your stuff and to heal maybe your teammates. I think more often than not, you're going to have a good time with Statesman if you know what you're doing. So his ultimate gives him poke too, which is great, and good damage, and resets his skills. So yeah, self-sustain is included in that too when you take Dull Pain. So yeah, so Statesman's going to go up here. Taejin, I think Taejin has good options. His 3-cost ultimate really hurts him in this mode because you need resources often in this mode. His grenade's probably okay here because it's a kind of like a persistent attack that stays out, but overall you're probably not going to get as much use out of him as you will in Titan Ruins. His inspiring aura is less good here, even though mobility is good for the map. It's just, I don't think it is as great as it is in 5v5, because you're not going to be, you know, just running you and a lane of minions into a tower and killing it, right? And there's less PvE enemies that you want to do similar stuff with. And by less PvE enemies, I mean there isn't any. But yeah, I mean his kit's still a well-rounded kit, so he's definitely useful here still. So, like I said, top heavy list. I think most characters are going to be useful, but Tajin's kind of middle of the pack kind of guy. There's no Titan Incarnate in this mode, so we're not going to worry about that. Yuri, I feel like she's less good in this mode because she's an assassin that doesn't have stealth and doesn't have ranged poke tools. And her tools that are longer range make her go in. She has a very small health pool. Her passive really doesn't heal that much, even when it triggers, and even when you're able to stand in it safely. So it's not like she has a lot of self-sustain. And the way her survival skill works is kind of jank, so really don't think she's as useful as this like surprise kill you character in this mode, because you can usually see her coming and poke at her with the characters I mentioned before. And that kind of hurts her, so we're just going to put her from A to B in this mode. And then Arami, easily one of the best characters in this mode. She basically has one of the best persistent skills you can put down on any capture point to just bind people that want to get close to it, or if they're already capping it, or doing anything at all. Arami can stop them and lock them down. She has a lot of persistent skills in her kit, and that just keeps people from capturing anything. It just keeps people from doing anything useful in this mode, and makes her one of the queens of this mode, like like Inuin, Lua, Lilu, Vita. You know, it's really good picks. You know, obviously Booma shines here, and so does Sonid, and that's just, woof. This tier is really good in 4v4. Really, really good in 4v4. This character. This is like you're gonna ban like Lilu, Arami, Booma from this tier. You might, and then probably pick one of the other ones. Have like one of the other ones on your team. Maybe two of the other ones on your team, depending on how you want to play. But yeah, this is like the pick ban tier, like for 4v4. You want these on your team and a mix of these other ones, or you want to ban these and mix the other ones. And you still don't want Titus, pretty much. Get a little bit more use out of him than you will in 5v5 with Titus here, but he's still not a good tag option, and like you don't want to tag into Titus ever. If anything, you want to tag off of Titus. But yeah, he's just not that interesting. But yeah, this is pretty much how it shapes up in my opinion for 4v4. Again, you can always move characters like up or down a tier, and I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like this is pretty honest. I don't think any character would move down or up 2 tiers here. But yeah, you can make arguments for like characters to drop one, maybe like maybe Nedian's not that great, but I think probably is, or maybe Moro isn't, but I think that he is in this mode. But yeah, I think this looks pretty solid for 4v4, you know, taking another glance at it. You know, maybe someone argues Statesman isn't either, but I think in this mode the heal is way more useful here. So same with Ignuma. I think that's going to be true here, especially because he has, I'll remind you, Ignuma, he has 30% skill damage reduction from enemies. It's the only character in the game that has that passive. And with poke skills being useful in this mode, it's really good. It's not really passive per se, but he just has the base stats built into his character that way. So that's something to keep in mind in this mode too. But with that said, that's kind of all I have for the 4v4 tier list. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see ya on the bridge.